The single most important equation in Keynesian economics is also the simplest. C equals C0 plus C1 times Y disposable. The Keynesian consumption function. From this one line, we get the marginal propensity to consume, the marginal propensity to save, the multiplier, and the entire theory of how aggregate demand drives output in the short run. In this video, we will build the consumption function from first principles, draw it carefully, see how it interacts with the 45-degree line, derive the savings function as a mirror image, and understand the difference between average and marginal propensities to consume. Let's start with the most basic observation about human behavior. When people earn more income, they spend more. Not all of it, but a substantial part of it. This is not a deep economic theory. It is an observation. John Maynard Keynes, writing in 1936 in the General Theory, took this observation and turned it into a foundation stone of modern macroeconomics. He called it the fundamental psychological law of consumption. As income rises, consumption rises, but by less than the increase in income. The difference goes to savings. This simple insight can be written as a mathematical relationship. Consumption depends on disposable income. The relationship is approximately linear over the range of incomes we typically observe. So we write C equals C0 plus C1 times Y disposable, where Y disposable is income after taxes. What do C0 and C1 represent? C0 is what economists call autonomous consumption. It is the level of consumption that happens even when disposable income is zero. How? Through borrowing, through dissaving from previous wealth, through transfer payments, through running down assets. Even a household with no current income still consumes food, shelter, transportation. C0 captures all of this. It is the floor of consumption. C1 is the marginal propensity to consume, usually abbreviated as MPC. This is the fraction of each additional dollar of income that gets spent on consumption rather than saved. If C1 is 0.7, then each extra dollar of income causes 70 cents of additional consumption and 30 cents of additional savings. MPC is typically between 0.6 and 0.9 in advanced economies. In emerging economies, it can be even higher because more households live closer to subsistence. Now let's draw this. We put disposable income on the horizontal axis and consumption on the vertical axis. The consumption function is a straight line. It starts at C0 on the vertical axis. From there, it rises with slope C1. If C0 is $120 and C1 is 0.6, the line begins at 120 and rises at 60 cents per dollar of income. The slope of this line is everything. The slope is the MPC. A steep slope means high MPC. People spend most of any extra income. A shallow slope means low MPC. People save more of any extra income. The slope tells us how responsive consumption is to income changes. Now add the 45-degree line. This line shows all the points where consumption exactly equals disposable income. C equals Y disposable. The slope of the 45-degree line is 1. Where does our consumption line meet the 45-degree line? At a point we call the break-even income. At that income level, consumption equals income exactly. No saving, no dissaving. Below the break-even income, the consumption line lies above the 45-degree line. People are consuming more than their disposable income. They are dissaving, drawing down wealth, taking on debt. Above the break-even income, the consumption line lies below the 45-degree line. Consumption is less than income. The difference is saved. This brings us directly to the savings function. Savings is defined as disposable income minus consumption. S equals Y disposable minus C. Substituting our consumption function, S equals Y disposable minus C0 minus C1 times Y disposable. Simplifying, S equals negative C0 plus 1 minus C1 times Y disposable. So the savings function is also a straight line. Its intercept on the vertical axis is negative C0, meaning at zero income. Savings is negative $120 in our example. People are dissaving. The slope of the savings function is 1 minus C1. This is the marginal propensity to save, or MPS. In our example, MPS equals 1 minus 0.6, which is 0.4. Each extra dollar of income generates 40 cents of additional savings. There is a deep relationship here. The marginal propensity to consume plus the marginal propensity to save must equal 1. MPC plus MPS equals 1. Every dollar of additional income gets either consumed or saved. There is nowhere else for it to go. This is an accounting identity at the household level. Now let me make this concrete with a numerical table. Suppose C0 is 120 and MPC is 0.6. At an income of 0, consumption is 120 and savings is negative 120. At an income of $300, consumption is exactly 300. This is the break-even point. Savings is 0. At an income of $1,000, consumption is 720 and savings is 280. At an income of $2,000, consumption is 1,320 and savings is 680. Notice something important in this table. The MPC stays constant at 0.6. Every extra dollar of income produces 60 cents of consumption. But the average propensity to consume, APC, defined as total consumption divided by total income, falls as income rises. At 300, APC is 1. At 1,000, APC is 0.72. At 2,000, APC is 0.66. The APC asymptotically approaches the MPC as income grows large. This is the key distinction. MPC is the slope. APC is the ratio. They are not the same. Keynes observed both regularities, constant MPC, falling APC, in the consumption data of his time. The falling APC was what he called the law of declining propensity to consume. Higher-income households consume a smaller fraction of their income than lower-income households. This has profound implications for how income distribution affects aggregate demand. Transferring a dollar from a high-income household to a low-income household raises total consumption because the recipient has a higher APC than the donor. Now let's connect this to the macroeconomic significance of the consumption function. Aggregate demand in a simple closed economy equals consumption plus investment plus government spending. AE equals C plus I plus G. If we substitute the consumption function, we get a complete model. As income rises, consumption rises by MPC per dollar. So the AE line in income spending space slopes upward with slope MPC. The famous Keynesian multiplier, 1 divided by 1 minus MPC, depends entirely on MPC. If MPC is 0.6, the multiplier is 1 divided by 0.4, which is 2.5. An extra dollar of government spending generates $2.50 of equilibrium output. If MPC were 0.8, the multiplier would be 5. So the slope of the consumption function is the lever that determines how powerful fiscal policy is. High MPC means a high multiplier. Low MPC means a low multiplier. This is why economists pay so much attention to consumption spending patterns in different countries and across different income groups. There are subtleties and extensions worth knowing. First, the relationship between consumption and income is more complex than a simple straight line in practice. People consume based on expected lifetime income, not just current income. This is the permanent income hypothesis of Milton Friedman and the life cycle hypothesis of Franco Modigliani. They show that consumption is smoothed over time, that current income changes have smaller effects than the simple Keynesian formula suggests. But for short-run analysis of an economy with significant credit constraints and behavioral patterns of habit consumption, the simple Keynesian function remains a powerful and useful tool. Second, C0, the autonomous consumption term, is not really constant. It depends on wealth, on credit conditions, on consumer confidence, on expectations. When wealth rises, for example during a stock market boom, C0 shifts up and the entire consumption function moves up. When credit becomes scarce, C0 shifts down. So consumption can change for reasons that have nothing to do with current disposable income. The relationship I described is the short-run, ceteris paribus version. Third, MPC differs across households. Wealthier households have lower MPCs because they are closer to satiation in consumption. Poorer households have higher MPCs because they spend most of any extra income. This is why targeted transfer payments, sending money directly to lower-income households, generate more aggregate demand per dollar than tax cuts that benefit higher-income households. The micro-distribution of any policy matters for its macro impact. The Keynesian consumption function is a starting point, not a complete theory, but it is the right starting point. Every modern macroeconomic model builds on it. Every fiscal policy debate ultimately comes back to the question of MPC. Every transfer program is evaluated through this lens. 85 years after Keynes wrote it down, the consumption function remains one of the most important equations in economics. If you found this explanation useful, please share the video with someone who would benefit from understanding how consumption decisions shape entire economies. And subscribe to Macroeconomics with Michael for more deep dives into the foundational equations of modern macroeconomic theory. Every share, every subscription, helps these explanations reach more people who want to understand how the world economy actually works.